You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name, it's Andrew Mackay-Smith. Hope you're well. The interview subject that I have coming up for you, it's Joshua Ratcliff, and he's from an outfit, a progressive metal outfit called Chaos Over Cosmos. These guys are really interesting. Josh actually contacted me over email and asked if he could come onto the podcast series, and you'll find out why I've invited him onto the show, actually, through the conversation, so I won't spoil that there, but you know, they're really interesting for this reason alone, in that Josh is right here. He's an Aussie. He's not too far away from me. And Raf, the guitarist in the band, is based in Poland. You'll hear about how they pull it all together and how they make it work through the conversation. Not only that, but because I'm talking to a fellow Aussie, we tend to go all over the place in terms of you'll listen to a heap of opinion-based subjects. So this is one of those podcast episodes, I should say. I want you to grab a coffee or grab a beer or something to smoke, sit down, relax, and we're going to take you on a journey. Indeed we are. So here he is, Josh from the outfit, Chaos Over Cosmos. But mate, let's talk about this band here, because I appreciated that you reached out to me, actually, because I don't do a lot of these interviews with artists that reach out to me. I've got to be said, and I'll explain why. In the past, I'm busy, meaning I get so many opportunities with international artists and the like, that I just apply a filter to the music that gets sent through to me, and I liked your stuff. So that's the reason I liked your music. No disrespect to anybody else out there, but I do like a lot of this. I'm 41. I grew up in an era when heavy metal was as popular as, using the epithet you want, it just was not popular at all, okay? And to hear the sort of music that you guys are producing on this, is it an EP or is it like an extended single, or what would you classify it as?
I'd probably classify as an EP because before I joined, they had a different vocalist. So they had I think November 2018, they released the debut, which is basically 5 songs, but the first one was like 20 minutes. And then they did a re-release in April, and then we released the EP in, I think it's mid-July, August.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more of an EP with the 3 songs. Because me and Raph are looking at doing new music, and we're looking at doing like more of a bigger release, more of an album. And he was saying that at the moment he would rather release like another little EP because he likes the idea of EPs because he didn't really get into playing a fair bit at the moment.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I just want to do something, a couple, like about 3-4 songs, and then basically that's it. And then because he's actually joined he's had a mate reach out to him to I think over his way in Poland to look at doing like a kind of more genty, proggy kind of band, an actual live one. So he's always been chatting to that bloke, and the guy reached out. And he was like, I'm happy to give it a go. And he was messaging me saying this would probably be a fair while between releases, because normally he was looking at doing something every 6 months or so. So it'd be very different this one. Like I've heard some of the new, like he only goes through Guitar Pro to write stuff. So he's basically sent me some of the new stuff, which I've helped tweak on a little bit, and it's just very different compared to that EP and compared to the debut stuff as well. It's a crazy brain for his music.
So he's over in Poland, but with a surname like that, he could sounds like an Anglo-Celtic surname. So is he Aussie as well? He's moved over there, or what's the go with him?
No. I met him online. I think it was either through Reddit. I was putting on one of the groups on there looking for.
Okay, cool.
When I go from grafting out, because looking for bands and stuff, just to do music, and I put a thing on Reddit. I'm pretty sure, and he reached out and we basically became friends and stuff on there. Because originally I was joining Chaos of the Cosmos before they're called Chaos of the Cosmos, but my current band Resurgence, I joined them and that kicked off with like recording and stuff like that. And I just said to Raph, I was like, I couldn't do it at the time. And then all the vocalists ended up leaving because of differences. He didn't like the heavier style because it's more power metal. And then Raph came to me because I got the stuff I did on the Resurgence stuff with the album Voices, and he was like, I would love to have you, because we're looking at doing our own little side project, like more like kind of Killswitch Engage style stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, basically said it, and I was like, yep. Without even thinking about it, I was like, definitely doing it. For those guitar skills, like as if I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, I mad guitar skills. Yeah, I actually have to ask you, mate. It actually, there's a lot of slander toward poor old Lucas Mann from Rings of Saturn online about they reckon that he sped things up, and I know that he didn't. Okay, but it actually sounds like Raph might have sped some of this stuff up. So please tell me he didn't. Please tell me actually he's playing this stuff.
No, he's literally playing it. Like,
It's incredible.
Yeah,
It's amazing. Amazing
he's nuts.
skills. Yeah.
Mm.
Mad
He
skills.
loves his kind of his shred. Like we were having a joke a little while ago. I was like, oh, we still more kind of slower acoustic song, kind of ballady. And he's like, I don't think I can play slow. And I was like, oh, get you some beers in, and you'll be fine running something slow. And he goes, no, when I play beers, I try and play even faster and shred. Like, I just can't do it. I was like, what? How can you
Oh my
not
God.
play slow? He's like, no, just shred, my style. I was like, okay, dokie. I
Well,
love it.
if he gets stoned, he'll play slow. I can guarantee him that. but
Maybe. They
but
start playing doom metal.
yeah, that plethora of Neurosis sounding stuff. I remember Neurosis back in the day. It sounds like every bloody band coming out these days sounds like them. But 25 years later, it's so weird.
Mm.
But yeah, look, just to go back to the sound of the music here. For those people who are yet to hear you and given you are an indie band, I mean, I think you can find your stuff. You sent it to me, so mine's in. I don't have Spotify. I only listen to Apple Music. But is your music available on Spotify and Apple Music?
We are now. It took about 2 months of me convincing Raph and him basically going one day going, yep, let's do it. So yeah, we're finally. The EP actually yesterday went live on Spotify. Finally.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Would you say that this, because this is a relatively new release, this is only a couple of months old, isn't it? This music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you started writing new stuff, or are you really just going to focus on seeing what the response is out there and the word to this stuff?
Now Raph's basically released and on to next. Like he's already basically started. I think we've probably mapped out, I think, 3/4 of one song. Because basically, with the EP, he basically changed his way of writing because he used to basically map it all out on Guitar Pro and see how it is, and then basically go from there. With the EP, basically just kind of did everything on the fly.
Yep.
And this one, I think we're going back to more, because we've got one song so far, we're going back to more Guitar Pro so I can have a bit more of an input with it, because I didn't get a massive input on the EP music, because I had when I came into it, the most of the music was already written.
Mm-hmm.
So with the current ways, so I can actually get on there with it, which is pretty cool. Being able to kind of see it all, basically be able to play in MIDI style, speed it up if I want to get a bit crazy, so it's also on speed or something like that. But it's, yeah, a very interesting experience I have with it, because with being purely online, which is crazy, the internet, because I haven't actually met him, or we haven't ever spoke either. It's all basically through Facebook Messenger, which basically just makes it all, like, it makes it difficult at times with the different time zones. So we'll have, I think, had a good hour or so in the morning here, and then at night time it'll be about a couple of hours or so. And that's pretty much it. That's our conversations for the day, and then we'll basically delay with everyone catching up and stuff. So bizarre.
Yeah, I admire it, and I've got to tell you, it's not the first time I've heard it, though. And that, I know there's a cliche that people are, getting involved in relationships that they've been doing for the past 25 odd years, ever since 20 years. I know it's 25 odd years, but 20 years since the internet really became available to the general populace. But it does not surprise me at all to see two people who are, how many kilometres apart? 20,000 kilometres apart, is it? Being able to forge a relationship based on common interests. And you can produce this wonderful music that you've been able to do here. So, do you think? Have you guys talked about touring or playing any live gigs over in Europe?
Yes and no, because I know Raph's not entirely too sure if he could play the stuff live, because the way with the
just use
video
backing
recording
tracks.
is
Just use backing tracks and just do what you can. I saw the guys in Rings of Saturn do that. Honestly, people are very forgiving these days, mate. Really, honestly, it's I think as long as you're there and the majority of it is played by you guys, you'd be fine.
I think he'd be more worried about his basically crazy lead stuff that he does. But I'm not sure if he does a lot of kind of cutting in when he's doing it or punching in. But yeah, I know he was a bit worried at one point if we ever did look at doing it live, or because I was looking at trying to do like a guitar playthrough to kind of have something out there so people can basically see his crazy guitar skills. And he's like, I'd love to, but I basically get annoyed with myself being a perfectionist with trying to play it all the way through. And I was like, you just go do heaps of shots. If I can I would basically go between different video clips and cut them in, or even where it's just stuff up. I said I wouldn't be able to tell anyway, but he's like, I'll be able to tell. And I was like, you'd be fine. It's a video. I said most of the time the people who are doing playthroughs probably aren't playing the song all the way through perfectly, and you'll be able to tell most of the time anyway.
Yeah, and there's tricks you can use, such as like you use different camera angles. So just say you need to stop it a bit, then you just focus on the riffing hand, and then you do a different camera angle where you focus on the picking hand. You do that stuff, and that's a really good idea. And I've got to tell you, I'm at Bond these days. I'm my ripe old age of 41, I'm a full-time student. I'm almost through a journalism degree. And what I've learnt, and I'm a social media major, is that video, mate, it actually has 8 times the uptake as what standard posts do, like any other type of content. Video, mate, it's all about that. So that's a smart thing that you're looking at doing, though. In order to get your music out there, I think that's probably the best avenue to do it on, and do it using Instagram. Of course, you guys will be on Instagram, I suppose, but using IGTV as well. Massive uptake on that. I'm just so busy, mate. I can't tap into all of it. I just sort of put my podcast episodes out there, and if people find it great, they find it. But because you guys actually have a musical product like this, there's so many avenues for you guys to get it out there and really be effective with it. But no, videos are right at the top of the tree. Putting it on Facebook stories and also IGTV, mate. I really encourage you guys to do that, because this is music worth listening to. I wouldn't be saying this unless I found some gold in it personally, And the Vangelis comment. I know we've had an email conversation or comments about this one here, but man, that was a really good way to get my attention. You don't know me from a bar of soap, but Vangelis is one of the first artists I ever got into as a kid. Blade Runner. And I can hear it through your music, man. It's killer. To be honest, there are parts of your music where I wish you'd extend the Vangelis thing just to dive into more of the soundscapes. And I'm usually the opposite. Usually I find soundscapes done by metal bands, broadly speaking, metal bands, be boring as shit, but not with you guys. I found them really engaging.
Thanks. Yeah, I noticed that with the debut of the debut of Raph and the Omega, that a lot of Raph's guitar work. Because the first time I heard it, like, the first track was like 17 minutes, and like listening it through, it didn't. Because I know with some of those long tracks, but you get bored and you kind of want to skip it. With that one, just kept kind of carrying on, just kept basically being, well, obviously having different stuff, but it was just, the first time I heard it was like, oh, cool, that was one track. That was really good.
That's exactly what happened to me with you guys. Actually, it's exactly what happened to me. I think, is it the first one, Cascading Darkness? It might not have been that one there. It might have been Consumed. I can't remember now because, I've got my AirPods in and I'm walking around the house with my iPhone in my pocket somewhere, and the kids are yelling at me about something, and I've got the music playing, and I'm noticing it's like the music's taking me somewhere at the same time as I've got all these household chores. You're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. But it's often it's often the only time you've really got to listen to music outside of when you're going to sleep, and then if you're doing that, you don't absorb a goddamn thing. You're going to sleep. But yeah, no, it is something that I notice, and usually my opinion is vastly different, but I'd really encourage you guys to lean into that aspect of it more. I'd almost encourage you guys to release the Vangelis stuff as an accompaniment. So, keep the basic track if you like and put it out there for people. I could be completely wrong, man. It's only my opinion, but look, I'm a lifelong music fan, and there's a lot to like about what you guys are doing with this stuff, man, and at this stage in the game, you might as well put it out there and see what comes back.
Sure. What's crazy with this release, because everywhere I've sent it, people have loved it. Like, we had Gareth from AMR, we basically sent him, and he's like, oh yeah, interview 2 days. I was like, okay. So then he's Heavy Reborn show. I was like, it's just been going crazy with everyone loving it. Like, we've had fans who have been following the band for I think 2 years or so. It's been going. And basically love the new direction. Like, there are some obviously who don't like it because they preferred the more power metal side from before with the old vocalists, but a lot have gone, this is the way to go. So, which has been good. Like, I was nervous originally coming in with going from how everything was beforehand with the other vocalists and be the more power metal side to kind of do the more kind of aggressive vocal style. Mm-hmm. But it's something I love doing with all the metal that I love is like with Killswitch Engage, more metalcore stuff before going into obviously like Lamb of God and that. And then all of Raph's influences were just basically kind of molded this perfect little package. It's worked out well for us, I reckon.
Oh, it does. And I think what you got going for you these days too is people are fed up with basically pop music. You know what I mean? Like the fans of metal are fed up with it. So when you start releasing tracks like 8 and 9 minutes, I actually think that's the future. Believe it or not, I actually think what you guys have done here is the future overall for metal releases. 3 or 4 killer cuts, a lot of great ideas wrapped inside the same tune, because people want to be taken on a journey, I think. And I was talking to Bill Hudson, from I Am Morbid and North Tail, Brazilian guitarist, excellent guy, and he's really tuned into this sort of stuff as well. He's really got some good ideas. I mean, he's the sort of guy that could have been playing Paco de Lucia style flamenco guitar, as well as Iron Maiden style guitar, but he basically worked out that people wanted to hear long form power metal. And that's the sort of music that he's giving to people. I mean, he's just tapping into what the market wants, but at the same time, he's playing music that's a part of. It's in his spirit. It's in his soul. I'm a musician as well, and I play covers these days, so I don't actually play a lot of. Actually, I don't play any originals music because I just don't have the time to, or the inclination to sort of put it all together. But if I was, man, I can tell you, I'd be putting together songs. They wouldn't be compositionally the same as yours. They'd be very different, but I'd be certainly going for the length of time that both Consumed is and Cascading Darkness is.
Well, it's weird going from, because with Resurgence, everyone, like people were saying, oh, songs shouldn't be that long, should be at 3 or 5 minute mark, still start getting bored. Then you basically got the stuff that with me and Ras with Chaos of the Cosmos were like 7-8 minutes, and people were people laughing and loving it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like I had another mate that I was on. He's released Mitchell Mantel. Like it was similar stuff. Like he's got I think 6. I think one of the songs is 7 minutes, and everyone's like, "Oh, songs, but that track's epic." And then there's one that's like 4 minutes, and everyone's like, "Yeah, no, that's not as cool." It's just weird, and bizarre with the timing and stuff like that. How you have a track that's 4 minutes, it's basically it can be absolutely crazy killer track, and then you have one that's 7 minutes. It's kind of not as great. And people be like going straight to that 7 minute track. Just bizarre.
Yeah, I don't understand it either, to be honest with you. I really don't. But look, I think Tool have got a lot to do with it releasing a new album this year. Their song, I don't know what the average track length is, but I know they're up to 10 minutes, a lot of them. I like that album, by the way. I know there's a lot of Tool haters out there, but I got into it. I found there was heaps to like about it. I mean, I bought this Monster Solara. You should check it out online, but it's a speaker because you got kids. You can put it. It's a solar powered speaker, but it's not a shitty one. It's a good one. You know, it's a 30-watt speaker, and it's loud as shit, man. It's incredibly loud, and I've got it. I mean, of course, I don't have it up too loud, but I've got the kids in the backyard on the swing set and stuff. But Tool's album sounded beautiful, wonderful over it, and what I appreciated about it, and maybe this is part of it, was that I wasn't having to worry about the album sort of finishing within half an hour, a la Slayer's Rain in Blood, which is a classic album, I know, but a different era. It was a song that I could sort of have on in the background and just sort of let it, you know, there's moments where it's barely inaudible because you're in the backyard and the dog's barking and there's birds flying around and, you know, all the usual noises that you get in Australian backyards. But it just sort of dovetails onto the point. And I think that a lot of us heavy metal fans, you know, we are getting older and we do have a lot of commitments in our life, but we don't want to stop listening to the music and participating in the listening experience. And long form is the way forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so you living in Grafton, do you get up here much for shows to Brisbane? Do you watch any of the international bands that come through town?
I haven't really been to shows much for that to see bands themselves. Like we did have Resurgence did have a gig up there about a month or so ago, which was interesting. Not many people came.
Yeah, well, that happens.
There's apparently some album launch somewhere in Fortitude Valley, so the promoter was like, "Oh, people are there. Would have been like 100 people coming." We're like, "It's all good. It is what it is." And I know we're probably hoping to get up there again with them, but it's bizarre going from Sydney where, well, at the time, Sydney had heaps of places you could play where it's not as much now. And then our drummer, because he's from Sydney, because he was kind of filling in before he finds someone permanently, he was saying basically, for instance, scenes in Canberra and Melbourne nowadays with live stuff.
Canberra?
So maybe one day.
Okay.
Well, I know Canberra, because I know Canberra with the basement. They were just basically saying like this. He had friends played in bands, they went to Canberra, and they're saying that you'd have someone come after you saying that they love your music and they're generally loving your music compared to someone in like Sydney who's come and going, "Oh yeah, I was sick," and they kind of walk off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he was just saying Melbourne changed a lot. He said Sydney's kind of more underground, kind of basically like in the recording, like not recording studios, like rehearsal studios now. They're doing more, apparently music scene's got a bit more underground there, which is be interesting. But yeah, it'd be good to Sydney's kind of kick up again. So you got more of the kind of smaller venues doing stuff. So I know some have been closing down again. Then maybe get down there, or hopefully get back up to Brisbane again sometime in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, focus on here. There's a lot of, Sydney's got the lockout laws, so it's very difficult. But here, you know, the Valley, it was probably just an off night that you played, but you get that.
Yeah.
You know, I've played in front of literally nobody before, just bar stuff. You know, that happens. But I don't think that defines the scene or the opportunity that's available here for you. It's just one of those things that happens, really. And you know, though they're just I wouldn't say paid rehearsals. I don't like that saying, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
a gig is worth 10 rehearsals in my view, provided you are rehearsed already, and it's a good way to sort of bust out the blow out the cobwebs, so to speak. And where were you playing at? Brightside or Valley Drive-In or somewhere like that, or Black Bear Lodge?
Oh, I cannot remember at all. It was near, was it Nunda or something? It was near there, I
Oh
think.
God, up there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is. I know there's a venue up there. I can't remember its name. Yeah, back in the day, I used to play in a venue called Rosie's. I used to play in metalcore bands, it's smack bang in the middle of the city. So you'd have people just wandering in, curious to see what was going on. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking, forget about non-metal fans, non-music fans, sort of wandering in just to find out what the hell the ruckus was, because they were free
Yeah.
entry. You just, you're in there, so you sort of have an obligation to buy a beer or a Jack Daniels or whatever.
Mm.
Those were the days, man. But of course, that doesn't last. It sort of gets turned into a restaurant of some description or a jewelry shop or some other bullshit. And you sort of, and most of the entertainment precincts is centered around the Valley in Brisbane. And if you can play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night, you're guaranteed even 10 people minimum. I know it doesn't sound like much, but when you're sort of
Starting
not a
out.
known entity and you're starting out, anybody that
Yeah.
you don't know that's listening to your music is generally a victory. As I like
Indeed,
to
definitely
say.
is.
So yeah, I'd tell you the other thing I like is the artwork that you've done here. I know it's a classic Photoshop job, man, but I love the effort and the attention to detail. It really, I mentioned that I'm a fan of Blade Runner and Vangelis, so it leans into that, and I'd really encourage you guys to sort of keep that. A bit like what Lucas and Rings of Saturn are doing with the work that they do with the artist Mark Cooper. Mark Cooper's actually, I bought my artwork from him. That is my podcast artwork. If you're wondering, if anybody's ever wondering where that came from, yeah. I put out an ad on Airtasker asking for people to do artwork, and to be honest with you, the stuff I got back was not good. And they missed the brief, and there's heaps of people from the subcontinent just angling for the $200, $250 that's prepared to pay for someone. And I really liked the Rings of Saturn artwork, so I thought, I wonder who that artist is, and it turned out it was Mark Cooper, and coincidentally I'd already liked his page because I love his work. And he had what I wanted on his for sale. I could buy the rights to it or whatever. I had exclusive use of it, and it's only $100 US or something like that. So I got the artist that I wanted, and it was cheaper than what I would have done if I'd gone via Airtaskers. So I think for you guys, man, if you can keep up this sort of this visual representation of what the music is. I'm a big fan of the visual matching what the music sounds like. I know a lot of punk bands out there do really boring artwork and stuff like that, and I'm not a fan of that. I love intricate artwork like what you guys have done here. So is that your efforts there, or is that something that Raf did?
No, that was me. I was really lucky with that one. So it took me about half an hour to slap together somehow, whereas some of them take like freaking ages. So I was just on some website that's got kind of free, copyrightless image. Well, not copyright, but non-copyright images, where it's basically solos. Because I think the city is, I think somewhere in Hong Kong, and then I basically found because Raph said he wanted the Blade Runner kind of sci-fi spacey-esque stuff. And then I found the stuff with the planet, and I just basically kind of mashed together. The thing that took me the longest was actually trying to get the planets to work with the image. Because I'm not crazy with Photoshop. It's basically YouTubing, Googling how to do stuff, and I just ended up finding this thing by accident, which was basically trying to, I can't remember what it was called. It was like basically blending the kind of some weird blending thing where you kind of have the image kind of dropping away, and basically just kind of went on, started trying to do it, stuffed it up, looked at it, and gone, oh, okay, that works. We'll go with that. Yeah, it worked well because I had three of them, sent him three, and he basically saw that one and was like, that is it. That is the release for that. I was like, cool.
Yeah, it really matches.
He loved it.
It really matches. I love the colours too, the pink and the purples and the blues. They're on the colour wheel together, mate, and it just works. And it reminded me a little bit of the vibe of it anyway. There's two albums, Gamma Ray's Power Plant, the power metal band that's still banging around. Their Power Plant album, you can Google that and see what that looks like. But also the big one, Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time, and also Power Slave. It just had that vibe. You could almost add a pyramid next to the planet there that's on the right-hand side, Neptune or whatever it is, man, and you'd have, it certainly would. I'm not suggesting for a moment it did improve it, but yeah, it'd give it that extra vibe going on there. So
yeah,
it was well done, man.
maybe in the next one I'll sneak a little pyramid in there for you.
Yeah, that'd be good, man. Yeah, that'd be good. I love pyramids. Yeah, I don't know about you, but with all of the information that the world has ever known, pretty much available on our devices, Android and iPhone devices, I dive into a lot of ancient civilizations, and I'm really curious. I know this is a tangent to what we're talking about, but I get really curious about. Apparently, there's two things, particularly here in Queensland, which is interesting for us here. But there's a Phoenician port in Serena, and there's evidence of Egyptian civilization in Queensland as well. Trade, mainly trade. They not when I say civilization, not cities and stuff, but there's this Gimpy pyramid thing. But I don't know about that. It sounds like someone's fanciful idea, But they're finding shit. They're finding coins and stuff, and it's Phoenician stuff, and it's eroded, and altars and stuff like that. There's a guy called Rex Gilroy who finds this stuff, and Val Osborne is the other guy. If anybody's interested that's listening, and look, they don't get a lot of academic support for it because it's contrary to a lot of what's already in the textbooks and conventional wisdom. But it's stuff that if ever I was writing lyrics, I think that I'd probably lean into some of that stuff there, and I'd write a little bit about that stuff.
It's pretty crazy when you start diving into different civilizations. That I know years ago I ended up going through. They also have conspiracy theory people on YouTube and stuff like that. They don't going through something and then going somewhere else, and it was talking about like ancient civilizations, and it was talking about the Aztecs and stuff like that, and just watching it and going, holy crap, this is just crazy. And like obviously, and then the conspiracy theory stuff with the Stonehenge and all the other crazy things. That obviously they think aliens, but obviously Just but then when you start kind of thinking out, or like with the advancements and how we've gone now, like how they managed to kind of get the stones like that compared to even with the pyramids, with their way of thinking would get those going. That's just crazy.
Yeah, there's that there, and I studied ancient when I was at school. Sorry, this is years ago, of course, but I did ancient history, and it hasn't changed. I still don't know how they bloody did it. And there's mathematics that has been used in the construction of them that we don't we don't have the formulas. We haven't arrived at a point where we've been able to work out how they. I get this wrong, but my understanding of it is that there's line of sight from within the tomb, within the pyramid, up to certain planets and stars at times of the year, and we don't know how they were able to calculate that, for example. And that's pretty freaky, that shit, because that's a fact. Like, you sort of, there's no conspiracy behind that. It's like, well, how did they figure that shit out? I mean, they figured it out. We know that because they did it. But I don't buy into this alien bullshit and all the rest of it. I don't, I've got plenty of mates that get into that stuff, the tinfoil hat stuff, but I've never.
Well, I think octopuses are alien because they can't explain octopuses.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I know. But look, there are mysteries in this world, and sometimes the questions are better left unanswered because the answers that you get are just stupid. And it's the internet for all of its benefits, and I do believe it's a wonderful and very powerful tool, which does help humanity, but a lot of people disagree with me on that. And, the conspiracy theorists, the crop circle people and all the rest of it, they have their own ideas and theories about things, and more power to them if they can prove it, but nobody's been able to prove it yet. Many of the conspiracy theories,
They're pretty scary. Pretty scary, but pretty crazy when you start going into them. I know I was hooked on one for a little, well, not for a little bit, but a mate was really getting into some of the stuff with 9/11 and stuff. He's basically making watch YouTube videos for about a couple of hours, and kind of thinking about going, oh yeah, maybe that could be the case. That's why I'm going, what? That's stupid.
Yeah, the 9/11 is an inside job thing. Yeah, look, if anybody can present those videos that are on YouTube, you've seen them, and they have the weird music in the background. That ominous music in the background. So it's really just entertainment. It's not factual.
Yeah.
It's not factual. I mean, I can't think of any reason. There's literally no reason, and you'd have to have an enormous amount of people in on the cover-up, the inside job, that a government would do that to their own people and do what they did. It's just, a mate was telling me that the reason, and he'd done a bunch of reading on it, and he loves debunking the conspiracy theorists online. But he was telling me that the reason why the towers collapsed so much is because, and I'll get this wrong again, so anybody out there listening who wants to try to correct me, good luck, because I'm only going off my memory here, so I'm not saying that I have the facts in front of me and I'm reading from them, I'm just going from my memory. But the mafia had a lot to do with the collapse of the Twin Towers, because they cut some sort of a deal with the unions and they weren't using, let's just put it this way, the best steel and the best concrete in the construction. That's what I understand, and that's something that isn't really out there. But he'd done the research, he'd done the reading, and he assures me that that's what actually happened. But all this stuff about bombs going off and the other Twin Towers and stuff, I don't buy into any of that bullshit, you know. Until a government source or a credible source or an academic source says that's what happened, I'm not believing that for a moment.
Yeah, definitely.
You know. So, mate, let's get back to the music. So, you've obviously got a Facebook presence. I've seen that. Have you got Instagram and Twitter and all of that sort of stuff?
Instagram and Twitter we do not have. So Raf, it's weird. So Raf wants to do does Chaos of the Cosmos, more kind of like the black metal underground things. That's why it took ages for me to get him to say yes to Spotify. So he basically wants to be, if people love the music, they'll go looking for us. That's the way he sees it. Well, I see it from kind of what I can never remember her name. I think it's Monica. Is it Monica Strutt, the PR girl from Last Murder?
Yeah, she's got a podcast series.
Yeah. Like because I was following her randomly for a while, and then I've seen a lot of other PR stuff. And when I was doing reviews for Overdrive magazine, looking at some of the stuff coming in through that, and it's basically like, well, if you're kind of limiting your market, you're not going to kind of spread out there. So my thing is basically when I joined was basically I'm going to spread our wings as much as we can. So basically, then when the EP was released, they're sending to all radio stations and stuff. I'd got emails from with sending out Resurgence stuff and basically sending it and kind of get as much exposure as possible that we could. Like I was telling Raph with the current release that I want to at least have a couple of basically 6 weeks, about 8 weeks kind of gap between it, and so that's just basically releasing it when it's ready. So I know there's some places for reviews, like this Angry Metal guy, where six weeks minimum before the release that he'll look at it. Where some of them basically, I think there's one that was 3 months, that was pretty crazy. But
yeah,
I kind of get the whole thing with hype and the downside of it as well. We're trying to basically build something up, and then basically when it gets delivered, it could be basically a pile of rubbish, or it could be something amazing. But my thing is more to try and look at getting into those review places that
I'm with you, mate.
Yeah.
Look,
so
look, I've got to tell you, I've got a pretty strong opinion on this one. There's only one person that I'd work with if I was in your position, and that's John Howarth. Because, I mean, he deals with KISS. I mean, you want to work at that level, mate. You know, it might cost you a little bit more than if you're working with some of the others. But I won't speak for John in terms of how much it costs, but the vast majority of my interview opportunities go through him, and he's a tremendous individual too. He's a bloody good bloke. He's well known, got a great reputation out there. I with all due respect to the other ones, I'm sure they're good at what they do, but John does get results. You know that because he knows all of the online publications in Australia, and I'm sure plenty offshore as well. So that'd be my. I'd push you in that direction, mate, if ever I was asked which way to go. For any band, I'd probably say that. But what you probably do have to sort out is that Instagram thing. Twitter, I can understand why people don't want to be on it, because it's more of a sewer. But Instagram is where all the kids are. You know what I mean? All the music fans.
I think they say all the social media is still with it.
Yeah, it's a tough one with social media, mate. It's really... I've been very fortunate with this podcasting, and that I can honestly say I don't think I've had a single troll. That's in almost 450 interviews. Over 400 posted. Yeah, man. And I mean, look, I've seen artists.
I'll get on there for you.
Well, I've interviewed artists that have been absolutely pillared because of things that they've said when I've interviewed them, but never. I mean, I feel like I'm in the eye of the storm sometimes. Like when it goes into blabbermouth, and and I see some of the comments that the keyboard warriors are making about some of these wonderful artists that I interview, and it's gotten so bad sometimes I felt like reaching out to the artist and say, do you want me to pull it down? But it's already out there, I mean, there's nothing we can really do. But we're all big enough to handle it, mate. And look, I get into a bit of argy-bargy because I'm a rugby fan with some people on Twitter about the World Cup, mate. And I just have a rule, mate. If you got an anonymous profile, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, if you got your real, like my name's out there, Andrew Mackay-Smith. You can find me easy. I'm not hiding. I've got an opinion, and it's not for everybody, especially when it comes to rugby, because I'm a mad Wallaby supporter. But
I think with bands, they start copying trolls and stuff, and same as pages. Depending on how they handle the situation, it can go from basically something going negative to basically pure gold. Like I've seen bands turn trolls into basically like little laughing stocks, basically, because they start trolling them back and just basically gets blown up. Like a band I was in, Born of Chaos, our vocalist loved trolling people. That's what he used to basically do. He would basically have make post something really stupid, he'd go on there and basically start hounding them. And then someone tried trolling us one time. Someone tried trolling us one time, and he's drunk and he's looked at this going, "I've got this," like cracked his knuckles and everything like that. We're like, "What are you doing?" And then the next morning we're reading everything, and we're like, "You idiot!" It basically turned around the person trolling, removing all their comments and stuff. Like it was pure gold. Because he basically screenshotted everything and took it all see and just like, "Holy crap, what the hell, man?" He's like, "I was drunk." That's like Jesus.
Oh, you got to have fun with it. You got to have fun with it. Otherwise, you won't have fun with it. There's not in between. There's actually not an in between there. And it's as I say, my rule is not to deal with people. Actually, just tonight I dealt with someone who had an anonymous profile, but they were giving me a compliment, so I took it. There's no reason not to take that. So be it. They sent me a direct message, which was a compliment, and that was on Facebook. And I thought, no, that's fair enough. And if people are going to do that, it's not a trolling when you do that. But it's I guess it's these and this. I don't, as I say, I obviously don't attract it. But then I'm the sort of guy, and I might get punched in the head tomorrow by saying this. You watch this, but I hope I don't. But I remember walking into the valley. This is years ago, about 10 years ago, and I was waiting at a set of traffic lights to cross the road to go into the valley proper, into Brunswick Mall. And this bloke ran and stood next to me, and he was panting. And I thought, okay, what the hell's going to happen here? I mean, am I about to get murdered, or what's this guy doing? It could be anything. And then there were 4 or 5 guys that came bolting like up the road, and Gotha Street, I think it was, and they were going after this guy, and I thought, fuck me dead, they're going to kill me as well, as well as this guy here. And they got about 2 meters away from him, and he just panic set in, and he bolted, and it was like I was Moses. I was the Red Sea, and Moses parted it. They just went around me like a school of fish going around a shark, and I thought, thank God for that. I don't attract trouble. Isn't that great? Because I thought they might have thought that I was with him, and I hope he was all right. I'm not being insensitive to his plight here, but at the time I didn't really want to have my teeth kicked in either. But the same thing has happened online too. I don't seem to attract a lot of them, and I think part of that, just focusing on the online thing too, and you guys do it too, no doubt. But just being authentic. I think if you're yourself and you're not putting out shit posts and giving hot takes that don't concern you and saying this and that about Rob Flynn's comments on Phil Anselmo and all the rest of it, like stuff that has nothing to do with you. I
haven't even seen that stuff. Like in the Facebook groups, then people keep carrying on about it. I'm just like, I don't even know what it is, nor do I care about it.
I'm with you. I've got better things to do with my time. I think what it is, mate, we're both parents. We don't have the energy, the time, or the inclination. The internet or social media wasn't really what it is now before I was a parent, so I can't really comment, but I just don't care. I don't care what other people's opinion is about my opinion, and I don't care about responding to people's posts and stuff. I mean, the Wallaby stuff, if you've had a couple of beers and the Wallabies are losing, you do get the shit, so you respond to some stuff. But, it's all good. That's just banter. I'm not talking about that. That's just banter. But the trolling thing, I think, I actually think it's probably overblown. I think if you're authentic, you can get around it, and I feel like I've been able to do that for the past 3 years or so that I've been doing this podcast.
It's always good to be authentic. There's no point basically trying to pretend you be something else or kind of to follow a crowd. Or being a sheep, as some say.
No, there's not. And I think those days, the MySpace days where people had stupid photos of themselves with spiky hair that wasn't really them and all the rest of it, And
emo days.
Yeah, the emo days, yeah. Even I've got some photos, not me, but bands that I was in with band members who were doing that sort of shit. And they're funny to look back on now, 2009 wasn't kind to everybody, put it that way. And you look back at some of these photos and think, dear God, but what do you do? As we've established, mate, you've got to be authentic, and you've got to have that attitude to not detract from your music, I think, and just let the music. I do agree with Raph on that point. Let people find you, but I don't think you can sort of hide either, if you know what I'm saying. I do think you've got to put yourself out there and get a really good publicist like a John Howarth and or a promo agent like what he does, and put you in touch with all of the people who can get interviews with people like myself, podcasts, and get you into the online mags like Overdrive and that sort of thing.
Well, I think the black metal underground approach more works if we're doing like live stuff. So they would kind of, because people have been kind of seeing you and going, oh, sick, who's this band, and trying to find you. But when you're basically an internet project band that's purely just kind of putting stuff out there and not really going anywhere, that kind of approach doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I look.
That's why me and rap always clash. That's why it took so long. I was trying to get on Spotify. It's kind of like, but not like I said. Everyone's on Spotify because his thing was he didn't want to like. He wasn't a big fan of like, making money. Like I don't care about making money at all from it because Spotify streams is like hardly anything. But I was like, with being on Spotify, because everyone's pretty much on Spotify these days, you can then have it looking at people listening to it more and getting different fans from that would never actually look at it compared to normally just posting that, hey, free album or free metal music here with tagging the band page. Like it can only go so far. Like going through playlists and all people put in their playlist, going like in the car or going to parties and stuff and basically plugging their phone in or whatever it is and it basically playing and going, oh, what's this band? And then going through there. Like, I feel that's better than having people going on Bandcamp, downloading and going, yep, cool, and then that's being it. With Spotify, with all online streaming, like it's just the way of music at the moment is online.
Well, stream. I think Apple have done away with their paid. Like I don't think you can buy. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this. I'm looking at my Apple thing now, and I think you've only got Apple on the Apple Music icons. I think you've got browse, and that's it. So you've got songs that'll be in your library that you might have purchased from iTunes back in the day or ripped in via CDs from back in the day or what have you. But I don't even think you can buy individual tracks or albums on iTunes anymore.
iTunes changed the whole thing. They're getting rid of they're getting rid of iTunes per se and total basically focusing more on the Apple Music.
Oh, sorry, Apple Music. Sorry, I'm using the old language, aren't I? Sorry, yeah, it's hard to keep up. You know.
Because when I saw a thing about iTunes going, I was like, what? What about all my music? And then I was reading more into it, but they were focusing more on the Apple Music side of things. I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're going that way as well.
Yeah, I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, look, do you think you guys would ever put out physical copy or make it available? You know, do a run of 100 CDs.
Rack has been thinking about it because on I think the reissue or the debut, there's some Russian record label that was apparently looking like an indie one that were looking at him or at us. Because he's talking to me, I think it's like 200 euros, something like that, to have like a 50 or 100 CDs for us. But then at the same, it's not too bad. But then at the other time, I'm kind of like, well, we're online. I don't really see anyone purchasing physical CDs because not everyone does CDs these days. It's like with the Resurgence, we've got CDs and like we're not selling them. We're basically giving them out for free for shirts, like like a little thing going, oh, buy a shirt, get a free CD. But no one really is like, we had some people that were going, oh, I wish I had a physical CD, so like physical CDs. And the other side of people, like I think like half the band, or actually no, 3/4 of the band were like, yep, online streams. Where one of our guitarists was like, no, I'm old school, need a CD. It's like, yeah, I kind of get it, but more people are going more towards the streaming thing because it's more easy to get to compared to basically having your CDs. Like even back in the day when I had CDs, because once I had basically an iPod, just chucking all on iTunes and just basically going on my iPod. Never really used basically CDs from there because it basically chuck the aux cable in the iPod and you're good to go.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. I really like it actually when I do a lot of interviews for Firestarter distribution. So they're basically where I get all my non-metal content from. Interview subjects from, and a lot of the dancers. I love interviewing a lot of the indie, the pop and the electro artists and stuff because it gives me a bit of something different for me too. But a lot of them are really cool. And they do have physical copy, unbelievably, and they'll send it to me. So it's nice to get that stuff in the mail. But that's just more of a nice to have as a memento for me from the conversation, from the interview. But yeah, I know. You know Eddie Trunk, of course, you've probably heard of him, but he's a big fan of CDs still, and I don't get it. I don't really understand it. I mean, I love the portability and the practicality of streaming. I just really would rather that the artist gets a fairer share than what they're getting at the moment. And I don't look. I understand that the artist can make bank off streaming. I get that, but it really depends on the deal that they've signed with a label or I suppose a distributor. Does that still work that way? I don't know, man. I'm out of the loop in that stuff, but yeah.
It depends who you go through, I think. So I was reading a thing about with the current labels of some of the big bands that with the whole way streaming went, a lot of them getting screwed over when it comes to getting money back on stream because the way the contracts go.
That's right.
I think it might have been Corey Taylor talking about something or someone else. So they're basically saying that with the way the contracts were from how it was with CDs, it worked well out for us. But with streams, there's nowhere to. It could be basically thousands and thousands of dollars not coming to us because the way the contract goes straight to the record company, so we miss out on it.
That's correct. Yeah, they haven't. They didn't put it into the contract. Just say they signed a record deal back in 2007 or something like that, and it's an 8 or 9 album deal, as it is with say artists labels like Earache. I think is it Earache or Roadrunner? You know, I don't even know if Roadrunner's still around, but
Roadrunner's still around.
yeah. So God, I just haven't heard anything off their roster in so long. You know, I mean, back in the day when.
Yeah, well, back in the day, Roadrunner was freaking everywhere.
It was it, yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of the metal ones, and then I think Napalm started coming up from there.
Napalm's doing really well, yeah.
Because I think there's another metal one as well. I think
Nuclear Blast, yeah. Nuclear Blast are probably the
best.
best.
Nuclear Blast, yeah. Because I know Nuclear Blast is always the one that had like the kind of more melodic death metal band, and some of the kind of European ones. You had Roadrunner for the more popular metal ones like Slipknot. Trivium were on there as well, and then you had Nuclear Blast, which is with Nuclear Blast is more the kind of the death metal stuff, and then the extreme metal. It was just weird having the different labels doing the different genre styles. But now I think they're all kind of mixed and matched. I think now, and they're all kind of.
Well, I think Earache are doing like rock, like Rival Sons and shit, and I think Nuclear Blast. I mean, Slayer's on Nuclear Blast to give you an idea who's on there, and I think I get every opportunity to interview a new signing that is available. So I've interviewed probably maybe 200 artists on Nuclear Blast at this point. Maybe. Like, I mean, I think it's that many, 150 or so. It's that many. And to your point there about a lot of these emerging Norwegian, Swedish, German death metal acts, all great guys, all producing great music, this stuff. And Napalm, I think, they've done this interesting thing where, man, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even Billy Corgan signed to Napalm. I think Napalm have gone for the legacy acts, the legacy rock acts. I think that's what their thing is. You know, I think because I get the emails sent through to me, and I occasionally look at them, and I go and see who's signed to who. But they're the big three. I know, as I say, Earache, Napalm, Nuclear Blast. I just literally have not seen anything come through from Roadrunner in God knows how long. And they're all distributed variously by the majors, but I don't get much from the majors, of course. Universal occasionally, but. Because I think they look after Tool and Slipknot, if I'm not wrong. I could be wrong, but yeah, no, you glance at these emails and you go, fair enough, that's where it's... Because our territory is a bit different to the US, you know, so people from the US that are listening to this, yes, things that are on a label over there are on a different label here because it's all done via territories.
Well, they just said we're the upside down country.
yeah, it's... I tend to put a lot of stock in the label that's releasing stuff these days. I have noticed that. Because it's Nuclear Blast, I noticed, certainly not to me, and certainly not that I've read artists say. I don't even think I've read a negative comment about Nuclear Blast by an artist. You know that, but there's a lot of negative stuff out there about. Spoke to Mortis about Earache. You know Mortis, the synth artist who was in Emperor. He had some choice comments to say about his deal with Earache. I'll let people listen to that one. And he's a good dude. He's a good dude too, man. He just had to work his ass off. But it gave him exposure. I think was his point. Whilst it might not have been financially that good, at least it got his career to a point where he had exposure, and he's still enjoying popularity to this day. God, labels, mate. You know, I speaking to Kurt from Metal Church as well. Like, he agrees that he thinks it was easier for bands back in the day to start a career because labels invested, but you know, you also don't see a dime from albums that's probably sold a truckload back then either because of the way that record labels had done the deal. So they're making money now, ironically, but they're making money because they're a known band because of their work that they did in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's different nowadays with people making their own labels or just basically releasing stuff themselves with the internet opening up all that. It's just crazy going from how it used to be back in the day that when being a musician, you wanted to get signed, so you basically can get up there, be big, and you had people that are basically complete indie artists that are basically doing everything themselves.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah. It's so weird to hear, and it's usually the younger ones talk about getting signed. It's like, do you even know how the business works in 2019? Yeah. Like, getting signed? Like, what year is it, 1989? You know, like with managers in limos and shit. Is that how you think things work? Like, have you been watching Wayne's World a bit too much? What is it? You know, in fairness, I haven't heard it that much, but I've heard it occasionally, and I think, dude, you're not going to get signed. Nobody's getting signed. It doesn't work that way. You know, there's agreements and that's about it in place. But in terms of you getting signed on a deal or what have you, you know, I mean, it's usually the established bands only or bands that have got a lot of hype around them. But everybody else is just an indie artist trying to break even.
Yeah.
You know, it's not being negative. It's just being realistic about how it is. You
know? I know with Resurgence, one of the guys in there wants his dream is to basically be some rock star. He's like, oh, I want to get a sign, blah blah. And it's like, yeah, I don't ever see that happening. The world's a lot different nowadays than what it used to be. Because I think he was about nearly 20 years older than me. I think, or probably 15 or 20.
Well,
and he was in a band and then the band he was in was like kind of punk rock band in Wollongong. And they'll basically sign. I think they'll sign to Sony at one point, and he was just saying how good it was being signed to like getting money, being given money to record and all this other stuff like that. And then when we were chatting about it, going, "Oh, you want to get signed?" Then I was having a look at how it is nowadays with getting signed, and people were saying you're better off just doing it yourself. And then I went back to him chatting, and we had a chat, and I was like, "Dude, we're better off just doing stuff ourselves compared to getting signed." It's like, "No, you want to get signed, blah blah blah." And I was like, "No, you don't. It's not as good as these days as music." The way music and stuff was back then. It's a lot's changed since you were last in a kind of popular band compared to starting out again to try and get somewhere big again.
There's a lot of money in the record industry still. I keep on hearing that. There's a shitload of money, possibly now more than ever, but it's concentrated in the hands of a few. It's in the hands of the Beyoncés and the like. It's not in the hands of the emerging artists. And the emerging artists are basically... I was talking to Danko Jones about this, actually. You know, Danko Jones, he's a really good bloke, actually. And... you know, even if people don't like his music, he's just a stand-up fella. And he was talking about... I said, because my perception of him was that he was basically a rock star. Because, you know, he has this podcast series as well, and he's a good musician, man. And I just thought he was bigger than what he was. And we had a conversation about it. But I was saying, well, what do you think you've got to do to get bigger? And he basically... I'll let people, again, listen to the full conversation in the podcast episode that's out there for people to listen to. But in a nutshell... what he said was you basically sign everything away to them. You give them everything, and then they make you a superstar, and that's the trade-off. That's the currency right there.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, if you're like us and you've got to, you know, you've been around the block a couple of times because you're of age, you're not 20, you're going to see him coming, and you're just going to go, what am I going to do that for? Maybe that's the time to do it when you're 20, you know, when you don't really, you know, you've got the rest of your life to sort of rebound.
Yeah.
The rest of your 20s and 30s to rebound. But God, in my 40s, man, imagine doing that now. I'd just be like, well, that wasn't fun and that sucks. That's how I'd think about it. I don't care about... I would never have cared about being on covers of magazines and stuff. But I think a lot of these young ones still see that as it's aspirational.
Yeah.
But
it's the younger way of thinking.
Yeah,
you get a bit older, kind of like, nah, can't be bothered.
It's just too hard. It's just too much effort. Way too much effort. Who'd want to bloody do it? Who'd want to be a household name? You know, like the few that I've spoken to, like Peter Criss and stuff, like have you read their biographies about what's gone on in their lives? It's not pleasant. You know, there's a shitload of pitfalls out there if you're in the industry and you have so-called success. And for I tell you the first thing I'd do, and not that it's ever going to happen, so this is a hypothetical, but first thing I'd ever do if I became like Rolling Stone style mega famous, I'd lead a life of complete sobriety. That's the plan anyway. I would not touch any drugs or any alcohol. I don't do drugs, but I wouldn't touch any alcohol at all so as I could remain present and just absorb everything that was going on. Because that seems to be the pitfall. You numb yourself to it. But as I say, it's never going to happen. So, and I'm grateful for that.
Oh, you never know.
Well, I'm a journalist and I'll be writing hopefully for News Limited soon. So I think... people don't really care about journalists these days, do they? Unless they're writing some shit on Twitter. But you know,
you could make it big as a journo.
Well, I think the thing about making it big as a journo these days is you've got to sort of, my perception, and I could be wrong, even though I think I've got my head around this, is you know, I write for news media, so regular articles that you might read about politics and stuff, but commentary, not opinion pieces. I want to stress that. I don't think I often think of it like this because I've got kids. I don't want their life to be impacted in any way adversely. You know what I mean? And I'm not suggesting for a moment anything had happened to them because of me writing stuff, but you want to be present in your life, don't you? And I want to write a lot of articles that get read by a lot of people. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I want to I don't want to become a Peter Fitzsimmons or that sort of thing, if you know what I'm saying, or as popular as Rita Panahi or anything like that. I don't want to get to that level where you're basically what I'd term, my words here, a rock star journalist.
Yep.
You know, I think I'm happy to sort of sit in the sidelines and watch everybody else take the spotlight.
I reckon it's pretty hard being like a kind of rock star journalist, all the basic stuff you cop on the side and like threats and stuff, depending with pieces going sideways and that.
I read some of the comments that are directed toward Rita, and I've got to say I get a bit concerned as a Australian citizen. You know what I mean? I read some of the shit that is directed toward her on Twitter, and I know she's got a thick skin down there in Melbourne, but the comments that are directed toward her, they're not pleasant, and I often think, would I be able to handle that? And she can handle it, but I don't know whether I'd want to read that about myself. And the truth is, I probably wouldn't read it. That's the only way to deal with it. But I see her interacting with these idiots. And she puts them in, you know what she's like, if you know her stuff, man, she really fucking puts them in their place. And she's not afraid of anybody. She's a leopard out there, that woman. You know what I mean? Like, she's just nailing them. I'm not sure it's for me. Yeah,
could happen. You could be like a massive music journal.
I think this is as big as I'm going to get. I mean, the irony is, 20 years ago, if you told me that I'd be interviewing the people that I've interviewed, I wouldn't believe you, because I'd think that you'd have to be writing for the Rolling Stone. And I have spoken to Hank Steamer from the Rolling Stone for a podcast episode. He's a tremendous fella, you know, good bloke.
Yeah.
You know, I've spoken to most of the guys in Morbid Angel. You know, there's so many I forget who I've spoken to. You know, but Megadeth. You know, heaps of artists, man. That you know, I spoke to Phil Campbell from Motorhead the other day. I mean, these are bands that I listened to for years, and you sort of think if you do that as a kid that it'll put you in the spotlight, but it doesn't. And I'm glad for it, to be honest with you, because it's all about the artists, and I try to make it all about the artists. You know,
well, it should be about the artists, I reckon.
Yeah, it's I just enjoy doing it, I've got to say. I mean, there's nothing. I probably think that I enjoy being a musician the most, like being up on stage performing the most, and then this is second.
Yeah.
If I was going to rank them, you know what it's like. You're a muso, so you get it. But a lot of people who aren't musos don't get the excitement we get when we're up on stage.
Never having the crowd cheering if you're lucky or jumping along.
Mate, playing, you know, some of the stuff, playing at we used to be called Elephant Wheelbarrow in the Valley back in the day. I mean, you were playing in front of 150 people who had all eyes on you. You did get a little bit of a taste of it, you know. You did, and you. I remember playing and looking down, and that's Andrew Stockdale from Wolfmother in the front row, dancing and headbanging, and you're like, shit, we're actually doing it, you know.
We're huge.
Yeah. Oh, you just feel a bit of a buzz. It just gives you a lift. You know what I mean? It just gives you a lift, and that somebody that he's not there because of us. You know, he's just wandered in there because we're a covers band playing, but we're keeping him there. You know what I mean? We're keeping him there, and you know, none of us had the guts to sort of say, "Do you want to come up on stage or anything like that?" We should have done it. Actually, we saw him a couple of times, but because he's from Brisbane originally. He's from Paddington, I think, and I think he lives in New South Wales. I think he lives near you these days. Northern and the north, you know, around Nimbin, sort of Mullumbimby area there. I know it's not near you, but you know.
I think everyone. Yeah, I think everyone's pretty much like you got all the Hemworths and bloody Byron and stuff. I think everyone's kind of coming up this way.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Byron. I've got to tell you, to be honest, it doesn't do anything for. I'd much rather go to Sunny Coast.
I've driven through. We've stopped once from being here because we're coming back from Queensland. Our daughter needed to go to the bathroom and she was hungry, so we managed to stop there for a little bit. Like, it was bizarre going from like how Grafton is and that. Like, it was very different. The other times it's basically just driving through it and planning on stopping, but it being too busy with how popular it got to get, we never really stopped. But we did. There was like a nice little Mexican place we went to, which was actually pretty good. It was worth the stop. I had to thank my daughter for needing to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I think they're the reasons that I've done it too. I think I've taken the kids down there a couple of times. I drive with the kids. I just try to get them out of the house as often as I can. So we often drive down to Mullumbimby and Mooloolaba just to go to cafes and shit. You know, stop for 45 minutes. I'll have my coffee and they have chips and a chocolate milkshake, and we drive back. Just to do that. But Byron's always so busy, you know, and it's full of like out of towners, if you know what I'm saying. You know, like big city people, and it's just painful. It's just painful, and it's just I don't not my thing, to be honest, man. I'd much prefer to go north to Sunshine Coast in particular. You know, Ocean Street there at Maroochydore. That's fantastic. Anybody out there that goes to Byron, go to Maroochydore and go to Ocean Street there. It's fantastic there. It's just like Byron, but without all the bullshit.
Yeah. Have to check it out for sure.
Cool, mate. Well, look, I better let you head off. I mean, it's I really appreciate you taking the time out for the conversation here. I'm happy with everything we've spoken about. If you are, I'm just going to release it as one of those long form conversations, as a conversation between me and you, a wonderful musician from Grafton, who's happened to hook up with a fella from Poland, and you're creating excellent killer music.
I'm happy for that. Yeah.
You know, so
definitely.
Thanks
for having me. Like like when you said you were going to check it out, I was like, shit, this actually might happen. I might be on the podcast.
Well, as I said, it doesn't happen often. I've got to be completely honest with you there. I don't try to ignore people, but I get contacted, wouldn't say regularly, but often. And I've done some interviews in the past that haven't been good, to be honest. And they've wanted me to sort of act as PR, and I don't do that, as you can tell. If I get into an artist, I'll get into the artist and I'll offer a lot of praise, but it's not because I'm acting as part of the PR arm, if that makes sense. I think what people like, mate, and this is the feedback I get from the vast majority of my audience is overseas. They're not in Australia. Like only 20% is in Australia. They like hearing Australian accents. They like listening to Australian musicians. And they like hearing us talk about whatever we want to talk about. Our life here in Australia, that sort of thing too. So that's why I try to broaden it and include a whole bunch of different things.
It's bizarre with the whole Aussie music stuff. Like when we went to Ireland last year, like for like Belfast and that, listening to the radio, and just going, why are there so many Aussie artists on the radio? What the hell?
I've actually got a big audience in Ireland. Yeah, I think it's our, your surname's Ratcliff, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I know my mother's side of the family are all Irish, so my heritage is, I'm not Irish, I want to be clear about this, I'm Aussie, but my mother's heritage is Irish, and my father's heritage is all Scottish. So I think what there is there's just that awareness that that's where we us Anglo-Celtic types, where we come from. So I think there's that symbiosis, if that makes sense. Yeah. Particularly with, the English too. I've got a lot of fans in England. I wouldn't say fans, sorry, I don't like to call them that. Just people in England that listen, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. Not so much Wales, actually. I don't know about that one. Yeah. Maybe I've got to learn how to speak the language. Gaelic.
That's your next market. You got to figure out how to get to Wales.
Yeah. Well, the US is the one that keeps me busy. That's half of my audience. But that makes sense because that's, that's where most well, that's just the biggest market that there is, and I'm really appreciative of that, and I can see where people are listening from, and it's the same people listening over and over again, which is awesome. It doesn't matter who I interview, they're listening. Yeah, I hope they like it, and I'm really glad that they're getting something out of it. I'm thankful to them for that, because, it's nice to sort of get a couple of hundred listens on an interview such as this one here and give you some exposure, but also give them a bit of an insight as to what we as Aussies, what we're talking about, because I imagine over there it wouldn't be the easiest thing to find a podcast with two Australians talking about music.
Definitely. And a lot of it would basically just be mostly about music. We're actually talking crap most of the time.
Well, a lot of the podcasts, I've got to say, aren't that crash hot, because the podcaster tries to turn into a rock star themselves. I don't know whether you've noticed that, but like when I started this, there were two people that I was really inspired by, or three. There was Chris Jericho, Joe Rogan, and Jamie Jaster. Jamie Jaster really in particular. And I like how he gets out of the way of the interview subject and he just lets them tell their story. And I think that's really a skill, especially when you're interviewing a lot of these international artists that are... interviewing Michael Gira tonight from Swans. I don't know whether you've heard of Swans before, but they are one of the most influential bands of all time that hardly anybody will have heard of. New York band, so, they've influenced the influencers, that sort of thing. They're like a Lou Reed, they're sort of like that. And to have conversations with people like that and just let them tell their story after a prompt of asking a question, man, that's awesome.
What kind of takes it makes them more like from being this kind of music object to kind of be more human.
Yeah, and I like to do that. I like to demystify because I think sometimes there's a bit of a veil. I'd love to interview Maynard from Tool, for example, and just have a regular bloke-to-bloke conversation like what we're having here now, because I think some interviewers approach him like as if he's a golden dove, and if you sort of scare him too much, he's going to fly away, and it's bullshit. We're all people, I in particular notice that the conversations of people that also have children, they're the easiest ones. We've learned sacrifice. We've learned compromise.
Negotiation.
Killer, mate. All right. So what I'll do from here, I'll just send you I'll try and do it all tonight. Actually, I don't. If you listen to my episodes before, I don't put any music on. I just put it out there for people to listen to with an intro and an outro.
Yeah, I actually try and listen to your podcast when I can, because my Facebook feed's filled with crap. Anyways, yeah, you got publication, because actually I think I got on because I found you before, like a little while ago, and then I know Andy from Lord, and I think I was following all their new stuff, and then basically then I saw the podcast of you did with them, and I was like, holy shit! Then I started getting a bit more back into you. But yeah, so when you said that you came for an interview, I was like, fuck, mate, this would be sick.
Yeah, it's good fun, mate. Yeah.
Like it's pretty surreal to haven't done much with interviews, but like it's been pretty surreal experience with. I've been lucky with like having you take your time out to interviews, basically no name band from Australia and Poland, and then with AMR when they interviewed as well. Like it's just the reception with that, and kind of basically being like warming, and kind of basically as if like having a chat as if we like basically met each other and had beers and stuff like that. It's just
Absolutely. Crazy. Yeah, the interviews like this, they're definitely like that. I mean, to be honest, I've had a beer tonight whilst we've been chatting, and I do. Right. I think with these interviews, they need to be like that, because I don't have enough. And like, I mean, I'll let the listener know. I mean, your approach to me was it was great. It was good, man. You reached out. You sent me the links. I think you sent me the music straight away. I was able to have a listen to it before I responded. Or no, you said the Vangelis thing was the thing that really caught my attention. So I thought, okay, well, look, I'm going to interact with this fella here if he's going to mention Vangelis. You sent it back to me. The music was good. It wasn't hard, and you were what I look forward to is conversational email style, i.e., not copy and paste. Like not that email blast bullshit. Like, I hate that. I can't stand that. No, because it's not personal. And, I mean, for anybody out there listening who wonders why I've done this one and you sent me stuff, this is why. And it's nothing against anybody else. I just, fuck, I'm busy, and, I've got to be a bit picky. And, like tonight I've had 3. I've had Michael from Swans, Hansi Kirsch from Blind Guardian. I had Blind Guardian just before you, mate. And now yourself. They're busy nights, man, when I'm doing this, and the wife's basically got to put the kids to sleep when I do this on those nights. But she's cool. She knows what I like to do, which is this. And you had the right approach, man, is what I'm saying. So
thank you.
So I appreciated that. So, but let's keep in touch anyway, man. Like you're, I think you guys, when I say you're going to do stuff, I think you've got a few more releases in you, at the very least. So
I've got heaps of releases in it. So I know me and Raph are planning on meeting up, because he's moving to Scotland, I think, in the next year or so, and because we were looking at moving to Northern Ireland ourselves, and I was like, we'll be really, really close. You can maybe meet up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just across the pond there, the Irish Channel. Yeah. Irish Sea.
It'd be really cool to like finally meet him. Like his parents are just a little enigma. Like his profile picture is like that generic kind of image where it's got the grey with the kind of a person. Yeah, that's it. I've never seen him, his face, never spoken to him like on the phone or anything like that. Because someone was, I think, one of the email interviews, they were saying, how do you guys communicate? Must be heaps of video calls and that. I'm like, no, we basically just pure messenger. I don't even know what he sounds like. I just know he's basically this little thing will pop on my phone, and there's Raph chatting away to me.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, look, people have got to get real about the way in which people use devices to communicate these days. And look, especially with us these days being digital natives, meaning that we've had it enough in our lives to it's part of our technoculture. It's deeply embedded in the technoculture. So that's just how it works for you guys. For some people, I prefer to talk to people over the phone. Because it's just the way that I like to do things, but that's not for everybody. That's not for everybody. I listen to people bang on all the kids are on devices. Well, they're not going anywhere. The devices, you know that the iPhones and the iPads and the Android systems and stuff, the iOS, it's not going anywhere. So you're probably in an advantage if you've worked out how to create a meaningful relationship by using these platforms. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd say it's a strength. You know that. I mean, it's maybe his English isn't the greatest either. Maybe I mean I don't know, but you know.
He's gotten a lot better than when I was first chatting to him.
Yeah, Polish
has seen him advance.
It's a harsh language. It's a bit like Russian in that it's very. Well, actually, I think Russian's easier, to be honest. So I think the Polish are I've had two conversations, two or three. I've spoken to Nurgle from Behemoth and Poida from Vader. And there's got to be one or two others in there, but they're Poles. You know, they're actually living in Poland. But their English is impeccable because they've toured so much and done stuff. But Vog from Decapitated. Now, his English he was trying hard, but he's just joined Machine Head, actually. I had a conversation with him a couple of years ago. He's an awesome dude, by the way. He was the fella he and his bandmates were falsely accused of a rape in the US. Do you remember that story?
Oh, actually, I remember. Yeah, I remember that story. I remember reading about
bastard. It. I spoke to him a matter of, I don't want to get this wrong here, but it was either weeks or months before that happened. And I can tell you the first 2 or 3 minutes of that conversation, I didn't put it to air, but we were talking about dropping our respective kids off at daycare. When it broke that he was accused of that, and I had this conversation with Blitz from Overkill, I didn't believe it for a minute. Okay, you get a sense about these things. And I did not believe it for a minute, and I really was, I did say a few prayers for him. I've got to tell you, I'm not religious, but I'm a spiritual man, and I did say some prayers because being in a foreign country, being a metalhead in a prison like that, man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard, and especially being accused of something you haven't, or that you.
Well, like the Randy Black thing as well, with that when he was in jail for that little time period. With
Who's that?
Killing that guy.
Who's
Randy
that?
Black.
No, tell me.
Lamb of God.
Which band is he from?
Lamb of God.
Oh, Randy Bly. Yeah, I read his book, of course.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Yeah.
Because when I saw that, you watched the video clip thing where he basically like kind of pushed him down, and then next second he's being done for like manslaughter and shit. It's just like, what?
Well, Randy's a stand-up guy as well. I've never spoken to Randy, but I read that book, and he didn't have to go back to Czech Republic, to face those charges. He could have hidden behind lawyers in the US, but he went back there and he faced the family of that poor kid that got killed at the show. And I really admired him for that, because that was, that's definitely, he says it in his book, if you've read that book, but spoiler alert, he says that that's really affected his outlook. He's not as happy anymore because of that experience, But he didn't shirk his responsibility, and in that way his conscience is clear. Well, I hope it is. I mean, I don't know whether it is, but, I hope it is, because he says that in the book too, he talks about how he had his own conversation with the family of the young fella that died, and it's tragic, man. I mean, this young fella's going out to enjoy himself and was probably none the wiser about what was going on, and Randy handled that like a man, I've got to say. I think it'd be tough. I think it'd be tough for any artist. I mean, you and I are up on stage. We've accidentally kicked microphone stands off into the crowd and they've clocked people in the head years ago, but nothing's come of it. But you often do think, fuck, what's going to happen next, So.
It was like with the whole Limp Bizkit thing with that chick getting crushed.
Oh, believe me, I've got my own opinions on that. I hate the fucking big donuts. And I can't stand Limp Bizkit either, to be honest with you. All the bro boy culture of that era, mate, was just so toxic. I mean, they're going on.
So like that was like a huge thing when that all happened. Yeah. So I remember I saw them with the Soundwave and they did a dedication to it and all that. And I was just like, I get that it happened, but it's kind of like they're still kind of milking this. Like, let it go.
If I was Fred, I probably just wouldn't have come back to Australia, to be honest with you. Because he did act like a jerk when he was here. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not suggesting for a moment that he individually contributed toward that young lady's death. Jessica Michalak is that younger lady's name. She's Polish heritage, I think, or she might have been born in Poland or her parents are Polish. But, I mean, nobody deserves to die that way. I mean, this is a young lady who's going to a gig. I mean, that lineup was just toxic that year, though. I mean, Limp Bizkit headlining it, give me a break. You know, I mean, they were. I remember the fans that I remember being in bands back in those days, and felt like every second or third person that turned up wanted the band to sound like Limp Bizkit, and I never liked that music. You know, I've tried to be I've done reviews of Limp Bizkit, like when they played it Download, and I've tried to be respectful of what they were doing, mainly from the musician's perspective.
Yeah.
But you know, Fred's acted like a jerk in the past, and I think Al Jorgensen got him good for the rest of us. Have you read Al Jorgensen's biography before?
No.
I've got to tell you this story then. Okay, just quickly. It's so hilarious, but Limp Bizkit were covering "Thieves" by the great song by Ministry off "The Mind Is a Terrible Thing to Taste," and they kind of made it their own. It's actually not a bad version, to be honest with you, but I think Fred wanted to take it a step further, and he wanted to basically sound like Al. Now, Al saw him coming. I've spoken to Al as well. Al's a wonderful guy to talk to, really cool guy to talk to, just so funny, and he's really genuine and down to earth too, despite his ferocious reputation. But he was in a studio with Fred, and Fred's trying to get him, and he's got the same vocal effect on, and Al's suggesting all of these ways in which he can get the vocal effect because it wasn't actually happening. Because of course you fucking can't do it. I mean, Al's voice is Al's voice. Unless you've got Al's voice, you're not going to sound like Al Jorgensen. Anyway, he he eventually got him to strip down naked, and he was paying him out saying he had this tiny little dick, and he's jumping up and down, and he's making all these suggestions that had nothing to do with how you achieve the sound. Al's saying, oh, I do this to get this sound, and I do that. They got nothing to do with vocal technique. They got all to do with taking his clothes off and shit. And Al was saying that the engineer clued on to what he was doing to Fred Durst. And was they were pissing themselves laughing as this idiot was... As this guy, Fred Durst, was naked, jumping up and down with his, paraphrasing him, but his tiny little dick in this vocal booth trying to get the same vocal effect as what Al gets. And I thought, good on you, Al, you got him from the rest of us. Because I just, that whole Limp Bizkit thing back in the day was just awful. And, their fans were just assholes too back in the day too. Like, I mean, I've been to heaps of death metal gigs and had nothing happen to me, but I reckon if I went to any one of those new metal gigs, like the way that they mosh and they treat it as like a Hurt session, a Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that. And then when they did that thing at Soundwave, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that one. I sort of think, you can't bring back a life, so I would never go to pay to watch them. The only reason I get given tickets to go to these things to do reviews, but if I saw Limp Bizkit on a Limp Bizkit, Korn, and all that sort of shit, man, I just wouldn't go to. It's not my thing.
Yeah, like I was back in the day, like I was a fan of Limp Bizkit because it's like they're freaking huge, and also like I love Linkin Park. So I kind of got into some of their stuff, but I wasn't a massive fan of Limp Bizkit. Like I had my little Korn phase as well, and little new metal phases. But yeah, I've always kind of stick true to more the kind of hard rock metal, and then kind of branching into the more melodic stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm with Trace Bruance from Mr. Bungle, who said that if you see bands like Korn and stuff up, no, I shouldn't say this, but I will say it. Okay, but I'll say that I found it funny what he said, because I think Mr. Bungle are just one of the greatest bands ever. And Trace Bruance in particular is just a seriously outstanding and over. He's King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime by Faith No More that he played guitar on. Great album. He's just such a killer guitarist. But his comments were because Korn were saying that Mr. Bungle are one of the reasons they became a band. And he's going, fuck that. Like, I hate that stuff. If you see these guys up on stage, pick up rocks and start throwing them out, and the bigger the better. And, okay, I don't think he meant them people... he might have been serious because, it's Trace Bruance saying that, but I like the fact that he wasn't taking their credit that he was giving Mr. Bungle. He's saying, I can't stand your music, and I'd be basically a hypocrite if I took the compliment, so I'm not going to take it. And then there were stories of Korn bringing Bud Light or... Coors Light or whatever it was on tour with them in Belgium. Belgium's like the beer capital of the fucking world.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like going to Denmark and Belgium and Holland and stuff, and I mean that part of Europe, Western Europe. Going to any country in Western Europe, they're basically where beer was invented, and bringing over beer as shit as any of the mainstream American brands. Give us a break, for God's sakes. Let's just go and get some culture into your lads.
Yeah, I think I ended up reading that for going finding some article that was talking about some of the kind of big bands with their kind of stupid list of stuff they wanted to be able to play the festivals. And I think that was pretty sure the Corn was on there with that one, with basically bringing crap American beer to Europe.
I couldn't believe it when I read it. I read it in the early 2000s, and even back then I shook my head because I'm one of those guys. I don't have a single beer. I like to get a different one every time. Right now I've got Corona. Tomorrow it might be 4X. They're the mainstream brands I know, but I like craft beers. There's some beer from Sydney that's brewed in Manly using seawater by Nomad.
Oh.
I'll drink that. That's killer. I love... Yeah, there's pineapple beer. There's all sorts of shit out there these days. It's awesome, And to think that, and Europe is always like that. Europe always had a craft beer culture. Yeah. To think a band would... I'm trying to think of what it'd be. It'd be like touring Australia and importing steak and seafood. You know what I mean? They're the two main foods that we've got here. It'd be the same, equivalent to that.
In the defense of the band, it probably would have come here originally anyway.
Yeah.
The way our export stuff go.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
Then bring it back in.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll never forget when I was in San Francisco and on their famous Fisherman's Wharf, and guess where the seafood came from that I was eating? Right here, Queensland. You're like, wow, it's a global economy, I get that, but holy shit, I thought I was in the good old United States, and just, I guess their trade agreements and stuff that, to your exact point, makes it cheaper for them to import Australian product than produce their own.
It's bizarre.
It is, mate. Well, look, what I'll do from here is, look, if you're comfortable with everything I am too, occasionally you've got to throw some stuff out there like what we've been talking about. And, it's all good. It's just opinions. That's all it is. We're allowed to have an opinion because guess what? We live in a democracy. And, I'll just post it, mate, and then I'll send it to you via email.
Oh, too easy. I said, if you don't have to send it to me by email, you can basically, if you just post it and tag the band, and then we can basically share it stuff from there.
You do have your Facebook page, don't you? I'll do that. I will do that exact thing. Yep, I'll try. I won't do that tonight because hardly anybody will see it. I'll do it tomorrow morning. I'll do it tonight. Cool. If you want to go onto my page, you'll see it tonight, but I'll post it on socials tomorrow morning when I wake up. That's the golden hour.
Yeah, no, I find it better basically with like a page or something shares, post something and then us sharing it, because it kind of follows on from there as opposed to us just basically getting it and then doing our own post. I find a share more better
powerful.
Than basically just more powerful.
Yeah, it is.
And then get compared to just doing it. Because I know there was one, because with the tone differences of Raph, it actually happened where he shared it. He had an email about a review. He posted it from their link. I didn't see it, but then I shared it as well on our wall. And I looked at it and going, what the hell? And then I was like, oh. And then I got rid of his one. And he was like, I was like, oh, I didn't know I got the review. And he's like, oh yeah, I woke up through the middle of the night because I couldn't sleep, saw it, and then posted it. And I was like, she just shared it from their page. He's like, oh, why? They emailed it to us. I'm like, yeah, but it's more powerful than to share it from there. Like, it basically brings that whole stupid Facebook algorithm you crap with basically their fans will see a bit from us, and then our fans will see a bit of their thing. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Stupid cycle that works.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those. Everybody has their own views on these sorts of things as well. You know what I mean? But I actually 100% agree with you. If I post it on mine and just tag you in, and then you find it and then share it that way, the link will be there for you to share it individually or just share my post. Either way, you've got the power to do whatever you want with it.
Yeah,
we'll
be sharing. share.
Well, let's keep in touch, mate. Just whenever you got new music out, just hit me up. This has been a really good chat.
Definitely hit you up, man.
And we'll do it again, man. It's good luck with everything, to say the least, man. I think you've got a great 3-track EP here, and man, more power to you guys for being able to do what you've been able to do from across the globe.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be trying to squeeze a pyramid into the next artwork for you, just for you.
I'd appreciate that. I'll look for it. No obligation, though. No obligation.
Does artwork just giant picture of a pyramid? It's like, yep.
Yep. You did it. See.
I think that's for you.
Oh, well.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
Thanks, brother. No worries. I'll chat to you soon.
All right, see ya.
Thanks, mate. Catch ya. You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name, it's Andrew Mackay-Smith. That interview subject was Joshua Ratcliff from the progressive metal outfit Chaos over Cosmos. Thanks so much for listening.